Local Women Magazine presents Local Women Podcast, the show for things that matter. Keeping an Eye on It podcast from Local Women Magazine is brought to you by Cathedral Eye Clinic, Northern Ireland's leading eye specialist.
Welcome to the Keeping an Eye on It podcast from Local Women Magazine, sponsored by Cathedral Eye Clinic. It's lovely to have you all here again today. This is a podcast where only women have their say. In fact, we're the biggest female podcast in the country. Okay, we're the only one, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Here at Local Women, we're not anti-men. We're just pro-woman. And I have three fabulous, feisty women here with me today. Today I have Rachel Cray. She is I was going to say marketing manager, but she's head of marketing of SENI, which is Social Enterprise Northern Ireland. Yeah. On this side, I have the wonderful Tara Jamison from Alter Ego Aesthetics. She's a registered nurse. And we have Sarah Campbell from Rostrevor, who is a radio broadcaster. Ladies, welcome to the Local Woman Keeping an Eye on It podcast.
Hi, thank you.
We have so much to talk about, girls. Let's go. Okay, girls, I'm starting with a topic that's going to get your blood boiling, because it got mine boiling today. I found this out today. Women have effectively worked for free so far this year. Now, this is because of new research by a trade union. They reckon that because of the gender pay gap, yes, remember that, it's 13%, the difference between what women get paid and what men get paid. So because of that, whenever you work it out, it effectively means that women have worked for free from January to February. Wow. Isn't that absolutely hideous? Now, of course, that's because women tend to have lower paid jobs. We tend to take maternity leave. We're the carers. So, ladies, how does it feel knowing that you have effectively been working for free since January? Who should we send the invoice to? So, Rachel, if women are still being underpaid, does this mean we should be doing 13% less work?
Absolutely, Kim. And to be honest, as a mother, I feel like I'm doing free work anyway for the last 3 years. So can I get a 3-year pay rise on that one? But yeah, absolutely. As women, we work so hard anyway. Yeah. It's
shocking, isn't it? Sarah, why do we keep having this conversation over and over again, decade after decade? Will the gender pay gap ever close, or are we doomed?
I just think we need to have the conversations with the men who make the decisions.
Isn't that sad?
Yes, unfortunately. And also, we were talking about it before, that it's the men that tend to put themselves up for the more senior roles. And even though they may not have the skills, they are more often given the job for which they go for.
Why is that? Now, Tara, is it because men are better at blagging? You always hear about men, I blagged a pay rise. Women tend not to do that. Why aren't we doing it?
I find women are a bit more reserved, if you're given a pay scale, you kind of think, okay, that's what I'm getting paid. Whereas I think men are a bit more ballsy.
Obviously.
Literally. Yeah, they put themselves out there and kind of have no qualms with asking for more.
So it's kind of our fault, in a way, I guess. And then there is the other thing, the whole motherhood thing as well. Now, we're all mothers here, aren't we? Yep. So we all have little ones. And I guess probably all of us at some time took a step back. Why is it that whenever a man becomes a dad, it's congratulations, but when a woman becomes a mum, it's like, she's a liability?
Exactly.
Why?
I don't know.
Is it because the caring is down to us?
Yeah, I think so. It's almost just expected from a mum, isn't it? And then the dad has to be the hunter-gatherer. But actually, I went back off my maternity leave when he was 6 months old. So where was my kudos for that,
Yeah. I think things have changed so much now. Back in the day, women stayed at home and men worked, but it doesn't really seem to be the way anymore.
No. Especially now you need a two-income household, to even just survive.
But the thing is, women are expected to raise their children and turn up to work like they don't do both.
Yeah.
That kind of way.
Yeah. And look pretty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And look pretty as well. We have to do that.
Spinning lots of plates and juggling.
So, Sarah, if men suddenly had a 13% pay cut, how quickly do you think this problem would be solved?
Overnight. There'll be lots of debate and lots of moaning and gnashing of teeth, but I think, if you actually laid it on the table and said, this is actually what we do, and this is how, it affects our ability to be able to pursue our career, I think we just need to be, I think, generally a lot more confident about what we can do.
So, Tara, we're back to this again. Should we take 7 weeks off work a year?
why not? Do you know what I mean? We're essentially being undercut anyway. So and I do feel too, as women in general, we do kind of have a better way of juggling things, and we're able to multitask a lot better.
What she's trying to say is that we're just better.
Yeah.
That's what Tara was trying to say there. I just translated it for you.
Yeah, that sounds better.
We're just better.
But, we're just easier being able to do a few things at once, and I think we'll manage our times a lot better than what the male population
We
do.
multitask, darling. We multitask.
We do.
So, Rachel, what are we going to do? Are we going to rise up and fight this, or are we just going to go to bed early as usual?
Can we do both?
I don't know the answer to this question. I really don't. I just read it and it made my blood boil. Luckily, I'm self-employed, and I know a lot of you are self-employed too, so it probably isn't really, it doesn't affect us. But yeah, men, stop it.
Keeping an Eye on It podcast from Local Women Magazine is brought to you by Cathedral Eye Clinic, Northern Ireland's leading eye specialist.
Now we have some more research. Don't I just love my research? Anyway, this research comes from another man. And he reckons that parents who work from home are contributing to poor attendance rates because their children feel that going to school is optional. Now, this is according to the head of Ofsted, Sir Martin Oliver. He says the culture of not heading into the office has broken down, so we no longer have the habit of putting your shoes on instead of your slippers and going out to work or school. I wonder if Sir Martin Oliver's wife lays out those slippers. But I digress.
So.
I digress. What do you think? Is this our fault? Is this another thing that is our fault, Rachel?
No, I think it's a load of rubbish. No.
Good. I'm glad that.
We can't be blamed for everything. We really can't.
It can't be our fault. Surely it's a bit patronising to suggest that children don't know the difference between school and home.
I just think, you've just got to look at every, in case as an individual. And so many people, yes, are working from home because they were told to work from home.
Yes.
And they've got into that routine and it's just become the norm. But, there's children have not been going to school for a lot of reasons for a lot of years. Maybe
Yes.
he's just highlighting this as, this is one thing we're noticing, but this is nothing new.
Yes, because there are deeper issues, aren't there, Tara?
Absolutely.
There's issues here. There's a lot of reasons why kids don't want to go to school these days.
Absolutely, and a lot of it stems from COVID. So,
Do you think so? Yeah.
Absolutely. As a healthcare worker, I worked throughout COVID. But my children, when they went back to school afterwards, suffered terribly. Their attendance dropped, anxiety attacks. I was having the school contact me to come and pick my daughter up because she was hyperventilating.
And how old was she?
14 at the time.
How old was she? She was 14 at the start of COVID?
No, going
so
back
she
to
was
school.
right, so going back
Yep.
to school, she became
Yep.
anxious.
Yep.
I guess because she was in first form and then she was going into third
Yep.
form in old money. And she became anxious about going back.
Yeah, she was kind of way still in the primary school mindset, if that
Yes,
makes sense.
yes.
They had been taken out of school in first year, and then by the time they went back, it was a whole different environment they were walking into and a whole different situation. She suffered greatly from it.
And what did you do?
We just had to deal
Work
with
with
it. We just kind of way looked for techniques and grounding her and bringing her back to, ensuring she's okay and just making sure she can breathe through it and talk through any issues that she had. And she's great now, but it did take a lot of time.
Yeah, and that's something that Sir Martin Oliver's not really taking into account. He's not taking into account things like that.
Yeah.
He's sort of blaming the wrong people. Do you feel guilty being a working mum?
Yes. I don't want to, but I do.
But do you feel do you sit and work and have that awful anxious feeling? Do you feel like that at times?
You feel like you're missing out on things,
Well, you are.
I'm
You
very
are.
lucky. I have my mum and dad at home. They're minding him. He's got an amazing childminder, hit gold with her. But
Yes.
So I know he's, really doing lots of fun things and being, doing all the things.
Yeah, he's fine and he's
Yeah,
happy.
he's thriving.
Thriving, yeah.
Yeah, he's thriving, but I'm missing out on it, and there's some days I'm in work and I'm just like, I want to go home. I just want to go home and I'm texting
Do you
saying,
work from
send me a
home?
picture.
No, you don't work from home.
I work from home sometimes,
Right.
and it is life-changing. I love it. You get a wash in. You get straight to the gym or straight to go swimming with
Yeah.
the wee man
Yeah.
at 5 o'clock. None of this travelling or getting
just-
ready or...
Just you saying that, my kids are all older, they're all grown up, so I can reflect on that period of my life. And you know what? The time off that you have, you actually spend more effectively with them, so you're not missing out. I promise
Yeah.
you that, but it does feel like it.
Yeah.
It does, and it just goes past in a flash. Would you like to work from home full time?
No.
Really? You like to get out?
Yeah, I'm too much of a people person. I love to have the chats, but I do get more work done from home sometimes.
Oh, I do,
because,
definitely.
You know, love a chat in the office, 10 cups of tea, doing all the things.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
But no, I would be a bit isolated if I worked from home full time.
I work from home full time, basically, and you do become very strange. But it's fine. It's fine.
Well, I'm the opposite. I see things I haven't touched in 10 years and I suddenly want to do them and don't want to do the work.
So, Sarah, if we're blaming working parents, working from home parents, then should we not blame office parents for not being there for their children? I mean, you could just play the blame game, couldn't you?
Yeah, this is something you can just keep going backwards and forwards. But basically, at the end of the day, it's about the children, the welfare of the children. And I think parents are trying to do the best they can. And there will be people that take advantage of it. So they'll say, well, if they're working from home, that may suit them, but it may affect their ability to be able to control and get the kids into school.
Yeah.
But parents who are at work, and I went part-time when I had my daughter because I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And it worked perfectly for
Yes.
me. Not for everybody. And I was in a financial situation where I could do that. Not everyone's in that position. But I wouldn't change anything I did because I like to have the social time and I like to have the work time as well, the balance. But I do think, we mentioned it before, COVID has a lot to answer for, and a lot of the children, and especially teenagers, I think have really, really struggled.
They are struggling. I mean,
And still.
they're still struggling.
Yeah.
They are.
The level of mental health issues with them, whether it be coping mechanisms. A lot of people can't cope with real life situations because they were sheltered from them for so long.
Yes.
Especially in the developmental stages of like teens or pre-teens. I find that there's a lot of things that they struggle with.
I think it's the milestones.
Yeah.
Where you have your first disco or you have your first...
They lost all that.
It's
that.
all gone.
Yeah.
It's all gone. I'm thinking, I look at my daughter's 18 and I'm thinking, the things I was doing, things I won't be mentioning to her, the things I was doing that she's nowhere near, which is fine because that's where she is.
Yeah.
But there are other ones she's now blossomed going to university now. She's in a great space. But she has overcome, a lot of her anxieties that she had, or just concerns about overthinking everything.
Overthinking.
Overthinking.
That's
Yes.
a big one.
Yeah.
So the world has changed. I am a firm believer. I don't believe that school is for every child. I really don't. And that's probably not a popular thing to say, particularly here in Northern Ireland, where everybody is obsessed with schools. They really are. I mean, do you think we need to have a more flexible model?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people are more vocationally suited where they are great with their hands. And I've found that even with my 3 children, they're so different. One of the things also that you find, how many people have degrees but they're working in Tesco's or they're working in a shop because they can't get a job and they're given degree.
Yep.
So why would you push someone down that avenue for the sake of going to university when they could go and study to be a plumber or an electrician and be flat out trying to get a tradesman at the minute, by the way, is absolutely
So if anybody's listening, to this,
give well, here you're lucky.
my partner's a plumber.
There you go now, maybe hitting your But yeah, those vocational skills there's so many, there's a gap in the market, you know, they're lacking because people are going to university to maybe end up not doing what they want to do.
But yet we're pushing children to sit through history and geography whenever they don't want to. Yet another reason why women should be in charge of the world. Thank you.
Keeping an Eye on It podcast from Local Women magazine is brought to you by Cathedral Eye Clinic, Northern Ireland's leading eye specialist.
Okay, girls, let's talk about sex. Oh, they're looking nervous. Okay, the key to a happy marriage is not passion or romance, according to a new survey. You know, I love my surveys. This is from people who live in a state of wedded bliss, whatever that is. Apparently, it's more important to have a shared sense of humour, enjoy cooking together, and have in-jokes. In fact, a resounding 56% of the couples who took part in this survey insisted that passion is overrated. Almost 6 in 10 of these couples said that people who brag about their sex lives, having been together for like 20 years, are lying. So on the list of marriage essentials are friendship, loyalty, and healthy mickey taking. So Rachel, do you believe that passion is overrated in a long-term relationship?
No, I don't think so. I think keep the passion alive. While it's hard, I think you have to make the effort, try your best.
There's so many jokes. I could honestly, so many jokes, but I won't because obviously I'm better than that. I'm better than that. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think it's important. Woman has needs, you know, so yeah.
But how do you keep it alive?
De-stress.
How do you keep it alive?
It's hard, isn't it? Especially when you've got kids and you've got family. And if you're like me and you still live at home, it's not ideal, but sometimes more fun that way.
A little bit sneaky. So, Sarah, do you think we should be a little bit more honest about how relationships play out? Because, after a few years, it's not all swinging from the light fittings, is it?
No, it isn't. But I do think, what goes on in your own home is completely up to you. And everyone's relationship develops in different ways. And, a lot of people say, my partner is my best friend.
Yes.
And that's about loyalty, as you said, as you read, and having fun together and doing stuff that you enjoy. Anyone that starts talking about their sex life openly and says, oh, whatever, I would be slightly awkward about that. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I really don't. I really couldn't care less. I don't want to look at you in that sense.
Yes.
But, if some people want to fly off the light fitness, then that's up to them. Perfectly. But I don't think it has to be the be-all and end-all that people keep banging on about. It's fun.
So many puns. Tara, do you believe that couples who say they're still wildly passionate after years together, do you think they're faking it? Which leads to me, of course, is it ever okay to fake it?
I think we all have it one time or another, but yeah. Do you know what? Like, I'm in a relationship 22 years, and whereas we're not in the honeymoon period still, we still have a lot of respect for each other. It's hard work, and we're still passionate. But do we have the time to be at it like we were years ago? No.
Is it a time thing? Is it a time thing?
It's not that it's a time thing. You're both so busy, I mean, children, work, everything else. Life gets in the way, and it's not as regular as it used to be,
Do you still look at your other half and think,
Done well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, do you still look at him and think he's all right?
There's days I look at him and want to choke him. Still I'm attracted to him, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I love that. After 22
years.
Wow. Now, what about these people who present their romantic lives all over? It's always Facebook, isn't it? Mm-hmm. What do you think about those people who are like, oh, me and Dean and 25 years together, and that Dean's a bad boy.
Yeah.
Why do people do that?
They're overcompensating, and if Dean's a bad boy, then people know Dean's a bad boy.
Dean's in my DMs.
Exactly.
Dean's in my DMs. He is.
So I think the woman knows that, and they're trying to mark their territory. They're peeing all over Dean and putting it all over Facebook. And
it's a dog, right? That's exact. I never really thought of that. That's what they're doing. They are marking their territory.
Yeah.
It is a bit sad, though, isn't it?
It's terrible.
Breaks of insecurity, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Whenever you see that, you think, oh my gosh.
But we've all done it. But I have done it at times. I've done that kind of, I've done it. Not loads, but I've done aspects of it. Yeah.
I would say people who's on my Facebook who don't really know me really well will probably think, who's that lurker in the background of her photographs?
He's not on your
we
Facebook.
have a great relationship, but I don't really broadcast it much.
Yeah.
That's good. Sarah, this survey seems to think that cooking is a big thing between couples. Do couples really bond over cooking, or does it just lead to fights?
I think so. I've spoken to a lot of people recently, and it seems to be the men seem to be taking over and doing more cooking.
Oh, no.
But
and
I don't know
mess they leave.
how true that actually is. I think doing anything, I think if you do something together, even if it's like, if my husband's to do the washing, do the dishes, great. We're doing something together. Not necessarily going near my herbs and spices drawer. You can stay well out of there, thanks very much. But, it should be a shared thing. It should be. It isn't.
Yeah. No, it's not. Well,
it's not 50-50.
I think we all know that.
Yes.
Yes, men do like to cook these days. And men, I'm going to let you into a secret here. We don't really like it. It's just, unless you're a chef, honestly, you just make too much mess.
Yeah.
Am I right, girls?
They use every bowl in the cupboard, and they take instructions so literally, and oh my God.
It takes forever.
Yeah.
And then you have to greet it with this rapturous sort of applause and oh my goodness, you've done something, and it's not really worth it.
And then do we have to keep hearing about it for
yes.
6 months?
Yes.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. So guys,
I love cooking.
Stay in your own lane.
Yeah. You do the cleanup.
So speaking of fights, now I was thinking about this. What is the most ridiculous fight you've ever had with your other half? Right, I'm going to tell you mine. Right, I was once out for a walk with my ex-boyfriend. I wonder if he's listening to this. Will he know it's him? Right. Anyway, so we got talking about what would happen if you won the lottery. We used to love talking about this. We talked about it all the time. So we got talking. I'm going to do this. I'm going to buy a house in Belfast and one in Portrush, where I'm from, and blah blah blah. About 15 minutes into this, we weren't speaking to each other because he had I think he wanted to do something for his mother or something. I'm like, but why? You don't even see her that much. And it actually got quite bitchy. It got quite nasty. And we ended up not speaking to each other over the hypothetical conversation about winning the lottery. Am I the most ridiculous person in the world? Yes, probably. What about you and your partner? Do you have...
Our fights just never end. Every fight on a daily basis is probably ridiculous. But there's one, and it's not funny or anything, but when I went back after my maternity leave, I worked for a women's empowerment charity.
Yes.
And, you know, the maternity leave and the 6 months old baby, just remember that. He's all, you've changed since you worked in that women's empowerment thing. And I was like, no, I changed because I had a baby and you did nothing. That's why I changed. It wasn't about where I worked and learning all these, you know, oh, women are great. It's nothing about that. It's, we had a baby and you didn't up your game.
It's quite harsh, isn't it? I like it.
Ongoing one.
I like it. Tara, any good rows?
Do you know what? Ours are always over the stupidest of things, and probably the most stupid one was going back to food. As an adult, what's the worst thing to decide every day what you're going to have for dinner?
Oh, I hate it.
Oh, it is the hardest thing as an adult. So I had said, what do you want for dinner? And he had went, don't know, whatever. And then I had mentioned a few things like, no, don't feel like that, don't feel like that. And I remember going to him, right, well then, we'll not have any dinner. Just starve. And I stormed up the stairs and actually was lying, belly grumbling, lying in the bed, and I fell asleep. So, we had no dinner and all over a stupid conversation.
And you starved.
Yeah.
You literally
and
starved.
I starved the whole house because,
Yeah. That sounds like a good row. I like that.
Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but there's things like, I think I said one day, if you use that towel, you know, because I'm quite, you know, pernickety about things like that. You know,
Yeah.
You went, I'm not going to answer that question.
Oh. And was it one of your fancy tiles?
It was one of the better,
It was
better range.
a mid. It was a mid
wasn't
fancy
up there.
tile. Yeah, it was a mid. It wasn't your best, but he dared to touch a mid tile.
No, and I was like, but I thought, I've used that towel. Has he used that towel? Oh God, I don't like that. You know, it's almost akin like using someone else's toothbrush.
Yeah.
No, awful. So anyway, and he was like, I'm not going to answer that question. I went, why? And he just dug his heels in. And I was like, this is ridiculous, over a towel. I know, I just thought,
Okay.
All right, throw it in the wash, I'll just get some more.
It's okay to row over
stupid.
girls. It's okay to row over tiles.
Oh,
it's okay.
thank you.
It's okay to starve yourself. It's okay because we're always right, aren't we?
Yeah, but it's healthy.
So healthy.
And that brings us to the end of another podcast. Girls, thank you very much for being here with me. What have we learned today? We've learned that women get paid 13% less than men, and we're not going to do anything about it because we're too tired. We've also, which is kind of pathetic really, isn't it? We've also learned that school is not for everyone, and the fact that our children won't go to school, it's not our fault. And we've also learned that it's okay to row over tea towels. So I think that sums up everything we've talked about today. Thank you so much to my wonderful panellists, to Rachel, to Tara and to Sarah. Thank you very much. This has been the Local Woman Podcast, sponsored by Cathedral Eye Clinic.
Keeping an Eye on It podcast from Local Women Magazine is brought to you by Cathedral Eye Clinic, Northern Ireland's leading eye specialist.